Hello, my name's Rachel and I work for Step 2 Young People's Health. This is part of a series of videos called How to Talk to Your Child About, and this particular video is about puberty. Okay, so before you start, there's some things that you need to remember. Remember, it's embarrassing for both of you, or it could be embarrassing for both of you. Okay, you're talking about things that historically people didn't tend to talk about. Okay, you might have a really open relationship with your child whereby you can talk about these things. That's fantastic. You should know that it is part of the national curriculum. Schools do teach about puberty. So it is often taught in primary schools around about year 5 and 6. It is then repeated in high schools, usually in year 7 and 8. And that's because there's different layers to it. In year 5, you don't need to know everything about puberty, but you need to start to understand what you're going to be experiencing over the next few years. Please ensure that you know the correct names for the body parts. That might sound really silly, but there are lots of stories out there of where children have gone into school and said something that sounded completely random, and actually what they were trying to do was disclose something. So for example, I read about one in America. It was a bit of viral information, so, you know, take it with a pinch of salt. But a young girl had gone into primary school and said that her uncle had licked a cookie. Turns out a few weeks later, mum had gone into school and said she got a rash on a cookie. Teacher had said, "What are you talking about?" Mum had, imitated her genitals, and actually that child had been trying to disclose that somebody had sexually assaulted her. So it is extremely important that you and your children know the correct names for all the body parts so that you can have proper conversations about it so that they are protected and kept safe. Remind yourself of your puberty experience. You might want to share the story, you might not. You might have sailed through it, you might have had a really horrible experience of it. The thing is, everyone is different. And as we always say to young people when we're teaching it, I'm really sorry, but you're not going to escape it. It's happening to everyone, whether you like it or not. So, puberty is the name given to the changes when a young person's reaching sexual maturity. That's what it is. That is what is happening to your body. It is reaching sexual maturity. Now, you might think, God, I went through puberty at 11. That's far too early to be having sex. And you're right, that's why we have laws around the ages you can consent to have sex. It's just that our bodies, just like animals, they mature differently. The brain's not fully developed yet. Brains don't develop fully until you're about 25 years old. Okay, your body's nearly there, so your body will change, different things will go on. Brain chemistry changes massively and it leads to behavioural changes. Okay, so teenagers don't necessarily understand risk. They have mood changes, both positive and negative. Other things will become more important to them. I know that cartoon is a very sort of colloquial view of it, but other things will become more important to them. You've got your tiny little communication skills, tiny little memories for chores and homework, but actually you've got your personality bit that's quite big, your ego bit that's quite big. We're having a big rebellion centre at the top there as well. It's not deliberate. Children aren't behaving that way, but deliberately. This is literally the way their brain is developing and telling them what to do. So main changes. Now then, that diagram, I've put it in because I really like it for the changes that it states, but some of the ages aren't as accurate as they could be, because actually we're finding now that young people can begin puberty a lot earlier than that. Boys round about 10, girls round about 8 or 9. And that's for a whole host of different reasons. Some of them are biological, some of them are societal. But main changes, you've got things like height will change, hair all over your body, but also the hair on your head becoming greasier. And girls will grow breasts, hips and bum, so the hips will widen, ready for childbirth. Guys are going to have changes to the testicles and penis. Body shape in general is going to change. Emotions are going to be all over the place. They're going to start experiencing attraction. It's part of that sexual development. Girls or people with a vulva are going to start to menstruate. They're the kind of main things. Okay, everybody's going to go through changes, but actually, like I said, some will find them an awful lot easier than others. So there are some other complicating factors as well. So while you've got this enormous change happening within your body, there can also be other stuff going on. So some children, as they've started to reach sexual maturity, will start to question their identity. Who is it that I am? Am I in the right body potentially? They'll start wondering about the sexual orientation. Am I attracted to the opposite sex, to the same sex, to both, to neither? They'll be experiencing external influence from their friends. Because everybody goes through it at similar times, they might not start at exactly the same time, but they'll be at similar stages. If their friends are talking about their experiences, if your young person doesn't understand that everybody's different, they might be wondering why they're not having that experience. Why is my friend having this, or finding this a lot easier? Why are they not having all these mood swings that I'm having? Why do they not want to sit and cry all the time? And that can lead to self-esteem problems. Social media, again, if they're reading stories about other people going through puberty and their experiences, that can start to question why theirs is different. If you grow up in a single parent family, there is some evidence to suggest that you may start puberty earlier, particularly if you are not the same gender as your parent. So for example, if you're a single mum of 2 boys, sir, you might find that those boys start puberty a little bit earlier than some of their friends, and it's all to do with that kind of animalistic behaviours. You know, if say if it's a male lion, if there's no male lion in the pride, then the younger male lions need to step up earlier. Okay, and that might sound really strange, but we all share those common characteristics with animals, and coming into this sort of sexual maturity is exactly the same thing. So there's ways that you can support your young people. They may not welcome it all the time because of the changes in their brain, the changes in their mood. They might just need you to back off now again. So have regular discussions as and when needed. Talk to them about it when they're ready to talk to them about it. Don't try and push anything on them, because you'll just push them away. So talk about things as and when needed. There's loads of books, videos, websites and things that you can signpost to. I'm going to give you some information about the websites and things, but there's loads of stuff out there about puberty. There's loads of really good stuff on YouTube that explains it from other channels. Try and use the correct words just to normalise it. You know, you talk about a broken leg like a broken leg. Okay, so why not talk about other body parts like that as well? The more that you skirt around it, the less comfortable it can actually make you a young person. Sometimes they just need you to be direct. Please try not to brush them off and refuse to talk about it. Yes, it can be difficult for people. I totally understand that. And that depends on your upbringing. It depends on your experiences of puberty. It depends on, you know, you as a person and how outgoing you are. But please, if they've come to you to ask you questions, it's because they trust you, they love you, and they feel safe with you. So please do try. If you don't know, don't try and blag it, because they'll see through that straight away. Okay, find out the answers. You can find them out together. And it can be really difficult. Oh, go and ask your Auntie Janice, she'll know about that. Okay, but again, that's you brushing them off. That's you not wanting to talk about it. And actually, if they'd wanted the answer from Auntie Janice, they'd have gone to her in the first place. Okay, it can be really hard. You've just got to stay calm. You know, if you're getting a bit like, oh, this conversation's too much, let's come back to this in a minute. Let's go and make a cup of tea. Quick distraction, or do you know what? I'll be back in a second. I just need a wee. Okay, run off to the bathroom, have a minute to sort your head out, go back. Okay, that'll have given them a minute to think about it as well and to process what it is that you're talking about. So actually, that's really helpful for both of you. Okay, so some support services then. So puberty obviously is a health issue. So the NHS will have some really helpful bits of information on their website. If there's anything to do with sexual health that they want to talk about, then we're based in Bradford, so these are Bradford services, but there will be local ones in other areas. So I've put Low Carla Sexual Health Service there, and the information for BASH. If you Google Bradford BASH or BASH Bradford, you will find their website, which has loads of really helpful info on it. You've got the Mix there, which has pretty much every kind of support that a young person under the age of 25 will need. There's videos, there's interactive things, there's all kinds of information on there. Really, really useful website. Brooke is a national sexual health charity. They have lots of information about relationships and sex education on their website. They do lots of teaching resources as well. So actually, if you think you need to learn a little bit more about it, by all means, go on their website. You can sign up. You just put your email address in. There's nobody checking whether you're a teacher or a parent or whatever. And it's really, really clear and really, really carefully worded information. I work for Step 2. We work with James and Hale to deliver relationships and sex education across the Bradford district. James is an independent school. Hale is a health action charity. They do sexual health, they do young people's social prescribing, they do a whole range of things. Step 2 is sexual health and mental health charity, so we support with emotional wellbeing as well. If you do have any questions, any comments, feel free to contact us on our social media pages. That question will come through to somebody. It will get to the right person in the team that will be able to answer your questions, and we will get back to you with information. Obviously Google, there's some really good stuff out there, okay, but if you can, use professional services like this to get the information that you need. Just because otherwise you could be straying down the lines of, well, these are people's personal experiences, and that leads to the, well, why was my experience not like that, or why is my experience not like that? Just remember, everybody's different. Everybody's going to go through it, and make sure your child understands that as well. You're not getting away from it. Everybody does it. Every adult on the planet has been through puberty at some point, so you're not alone. It's really important that they remember that.